Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, please welcome to His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. So today we will continue our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, verse number 28. I thank you all so much for coming, and I humbly seek your blessings so I can do justice to this service that has been given to me today. So because today is my hosting day and Guru Maharaj just informed that he's not giving class, I'm doing both the hosting and the giving of the class. So please bear with me. When we come to the question and answers, I will change the format and open it up. So for now, I will share the screen so that you can see the verse on the screen. Let's see. I hope everyone can see the verse. We will go right to the top where the Sanskrit is. Okay, thank you all so much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashta Praeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So this verse goes like this. Jignasitatma yatharthyo munirvyasa sutad aso hitvedam dripa gangayam yasyati adha kuto bhayam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. After inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. Whom are we talking about? We are talking of Maharaj Parikshit, who is
Hare Krishna. Something happened. Maybe it's your mobile. I mean your internet. I'm so sorry. I mean your internet. She will be soon back. We just have to be patient. Dear teacher, you are on mute. Unmute yourself. You are on mute. I don't hear what you say.
My dear devotees, my apologies for the gap in the class. I lost power and now I am back. So let me share the screen with you so that you can continue. We had just finished the translation, but I will read it one more time and we will pick up from there. Translation. After inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. You're talking about Emperor Parikshit, who has just got born, and the sages are glorifying him at his birth ceremony. Purport. Material knowledge means ignorance of the knowledge of one's own self. Philosophy means to seek after the right knowledge of one's own self or the knowledge of self-realization. Without self-realization, philosophy is dry speculation or a waste of time and energy. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the right knowledge of one's own self. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get free from material attachment and enter into the kingdom of fearlessness. This material world is fearfulness. Its prisoners are always fearful, as within a prison house. In the prison house, no one can violate the jail rules and regulations. And violating the rules means another term for extension of prison life. Similarly, we in this material existence are always fearful. This fearfulness is called anxiety. Everyone in the material life, in all species and varieties of life, is full of anxieties, either by breaking or without breaking the laws of nature. Liberation or mukti means getting relief from these constant anxieties. This is possible only when the anxiety is changed to the devotional service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the chance to change the quality of anxiety from matter to spirit. This is done in the association of a learned philosopher like the self-realized Shukadeva Goswami, the great son of Sri Vyasadeva. Maharaj Parikshit, after receiving the warning of his death, took advantage of this opportunity by association with Shukadeva Goswami and achieved the desired result. There is a sort of imitation of this recitation and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam by professional men, and their foolish audience thinks that they will get free from the clutches of material attachment and attain the life of fearlessness. Such imitative hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is a caricature only, and one should not be misled by such a performance of Bhagavatam Saptaha undertaken by ridiculous, greedy fellows to maintain an establishment of material enjoyment. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Maharaj Parikshit is being glorified, and just in this previous verse we saw that the sages foretold of his death by the attack of a snake bird and his complete fearlessness because he would have attained perfection of life. And how is he going to attain that? By continuously hearing Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days and 7 nights with perfect attention, without stopping to eat or drink or sleep or for anything. He simply sat at the lotus feet of Shukadeva Goswami and heard with rapt attention, without any deviation of his consciousness. He simply kept hearing the nectarian words emanating from the lotus mouth of Shukadeva Goswami. So here Srila Prabhupada said, this is the real knowledge that we should all strive for. What is that knowledge? Understanding one's own self. Who are you? Who are you really? Are you this body? No, you are eternal spirit soul, full of knowledge, full of bliss, full of joy, full of eternality. That is your real self, and that is your real nature. So all other material knowledge, which does not lead to this knowledge, is just useless, because everybody is in ignorance thinking, I'm the body. And once you think you're the body, you start off on that premise, then everything goes from there wrong. Because when you start with the wrong premise, all the results, all the conclusions are going to be wrong. So once you think you're the body, you think everything related to the body is mine. My wife, my child, my house, my bank balance, my car, my vacation home, my yacht, my boat, my airplane, my helicopter, my. Me and mine. And then to protect it, to guard it, or to expand it, expand my wealth, expand my position, expand my influence. What do? I have an anxiety. How to convince people that I'm the greatest? How to make sure everybody likes me? How to throw parties in such a way that the cream of the cream comes to my parties and I'm known as the most munificent, most generous, most influential person in society. These things go on, isn't it? And then when I get bored with my wife or husband, I throw them out and get a younger version saying, okay, I'm trading in. And so this kind of thing goes on in the name of trying to acquire happiness. But it's just one long, sad tale of anxiety, one after the other, a vain search for happiness that is never fulfilled, never satisfied. Because the moment one thing happens, then another thing presents itself. Do we really think that the rich and famous without God consciousness are happy people? No way. Because even there, they're always trying to think, who will take away my position? The latest rock star thinks, I must consolidate my position. I must beat down the competition. I must make sure I stay on top for the longest time possible. So whether one is a rock star or an athlete or a musician or a film star or a TV star or an internet star or a YouTube star or whatever, no matter what, there's always anxiety, eating, sleeping, mating, and defense. And this is animal life. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, understand your own self so that you save yourself from all this unnecessary anxiety. Because when we understand who are we? Eternal servant of Krishna. And therefore, what do? Engage in his loving service. No anxiety. In one very famous interview, Srila Prabhupada said, we are running so many centers, spending tens of thousands of dollars every day, but we have no anxiety. We have no anxiety. He repeated it. Why? Because Krishna is taking care. Krishna is the supplier. Krishna is the proprietor. Krishna is the owner. Krishna is the enjoyer. We are simply his servants and he is supplying everything. People were amazed. These Hare Krishnas, they don't work. They don't have jobs. And yet they are eating sumptuously. Very nice prasadam. They are happily chanting the holy names. They're going out every day on book distribution. And they're running temples. They're running the deity worship program. They're doing book distribution. They're preaching to people. They're so happy. But they don't have jobs. They don't have regular income like all of us. How are they so happy? They're happy because they're engaging under the instructions of the pure devotee of the Lord in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord, who is so pleased that he reciprocates by giving them everything they need. It's so simple. So, once we come to this understanding, we are freed from this mad race for money, position, power, influence, this, that. It never ever gives any happiness, but simply leads to ulcers, diabetes, hypertension, arthritis, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, all kinds of things, isn't it? So many health problems coming from anxiety, because anxiety produces a toxic effect on the cells of the body, and over time, mental afflictions tell on the body and become bodily ailments also. So see how much Srila Prabhupada has saved us from all this. He says, once you have realization, self-realization, you will engage in the right activity. Now the premise is correct. I am servant of Krishna, therefore I must engage in loving service to Krishna. So therefore, I am no longer consumed by the need to have more. Looking all the time for more. That is over. We want more devotional service. We want more chanting. We want more pleasing the devotees. We want more service. And that is very sweet of wanting more. It's not producing anxiety. It produces happiness, satisfaction, contentment, joy, peace, love, harmony, all the things that the soul is hankering for. We want soul food. If we look for food, energy, we are not going to get it because the soul and the quality of the material energy are completely different. One is spiritual, one is material. So therefore, Prabhupada says, without self-realization, it's just philosophy is dry mental speculation. Prabhupada said, religion without philosophy is just sentiment. And philosophy without religion is speculation. Therefore, we must understand correctly what is religion. What is religion? Srila Prabhupada said, real religion means to love God and to know God. To know God first and to love God. And what does loving God mean? Love means service. Therefore, to serve the Lord with everything we have got. Body, mind, heart, word, spirit, energies, money, influence, power, position, everything we use in His service. Why? Because it has come from Him and therefore should be used in His service. So this state of mind brings peace and freedom from all anxiety. And how do we come to this real knowledge? By hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day before class we hear this, isn't it? Very famous two verses. What is that? Nashta praeshva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Nashta praeshva badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Let's look it up. Such beautiful verses. It's 1 to 16, 17, I believe, that I'm looking for. But I will share that with you in a minute. So these very beautiful verses, by regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, it's 18. Nashta praeshva abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Such a beautiful verse. And the previous one, there is one more, which I think it is 1 to 6. Let me go back and check it for you. That is also a very beautiful verse. It says that no, not this one. I'm looking for Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidyantastoya Bhadrani Vidhunuti Suritsatam. Let's see. Is it this one? Okay, we can look at this one also. Tadarajas tamo bhava kamalobhadayascha ye chetaitar anavidham stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and he becomes completely happy. Okay, now I'm going to look at this one. Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana. Let's see if it comes up. Okay, it's 1 to 17. So this is the verse I was talking about. Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Ridyantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti suritsata. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So now we come to the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which is what is being described over here. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the right knowledge of one's own self, and by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get free from material attachment and enter into the kingdom of fearlessness. Why? Because Krishna, he enters into one's heart and cleanses that devotee's heart so that it is no longer attracted to the temporary, ephemeral material energy, which causes him to be like a puppet on a string, being pulled this way and that way by all his hankering, lamentations, and so on. So Krishna releases that soul from the entanglement of material energy and awards him freedom from this anxiety by engaging him in his loving devotional service. So there is no more anxiety. Now, what is the meaning of this verse? Why does Krishna do that? Because the devotee has started hearing his message. And what is his message? Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes his pastimes and his devotees and his glories. So that is why it is so important. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. That means every day, regularly, submissive oral reception. Not in a challenging spirit, not in a what to say, let me see, I don't know about this, I'll just read it, but I'm not convinced. To read with a speculative mindset, or to read with a disbelieving mindset, or to read with an attitude of, I know better than what this person is saying. We must at least be convinced theoretically, if not fully, that Krishna is speaking through the Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is speaking through the mouth of his pure devotee. Krishna is speaking these words of the Gita for my edification, for my purification. At least theoretically, we should be convinced that these are the pure words of the pure devotee or the Lord himself. Then we will be able to hear submissively, because this quality is very important. If we try to approach it in a challenging spirit or in a spirit of defiance or of mental speculation, we will not reap the benefit of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself and must be approached very humbly in the mood of a beggar, begging to get relief from the pangs of material existence. Please help me, my dear Lord, to get free from the clutches of Maya. Please help me to get purified by hearing these beautiful messages that you are sending through your pure devotees. Then we will get freedom from the anxiety, because we are engaging in loving service to the Lord. Krishna wants us to be free of this anxiety, and therefore he gives us the pure devotees who are speaking all these great words of wisdom. Who is speaking here? Shukadev Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Now, at the same time, Srila Prabhupada warns us about the people who exploit the scriptures, knowing that innocent people want to gain knowledge, they want to understand God, and they are innocent. So they come looking for people to try to explain these things. But these fellows, they make a profession out of it. That means they recite the Bhagavatam and they collect money from people, saying, I'll teach you all about self-realization, come and give me some money. But this kind of hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam for money, where people, put money into their pockets and just say something which is not in keeping with the disciplic succession, when they are not initiated by the pure devotee of the Lord, when they are not speaking in the spirit of loving devotional service, can have no effect, or it can even have a wrong effect, because Prabhupada says, just like the milk touched by the lips of the serpent become poisonous, they can actually become poisonous and spoil everything. So we should not be misled by such a performance, because it's just a caricature undertaken by ridiculous, greedy fellows. Prabhupada calls them ridiculous, greedy fellows who are out to make money at the cost of the innocent public. And this goes on. This goes on in so many different places. Bhagavad Saptah, they do, like a fashion. And they call crowds of people to come, and the poor innocent people, they get duped. They get misled by all these professional reciters who have no real knowledge, who have not taken up the process of devotional service, who are not in connection with the bona fide devotee of the Lord, who are not coming in the disciplic succession. They can give us no real knowledge. In fact, whatever they say, we can safely conclude it's all cheating and falsehood, because they're just speaking from their own mental speculation. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is so important for us, my dear spirit souls. I cannot tell you how important it is to hear Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Submissive oral reception daily, regularly, will slowly free us from the clutches of the illusory energy and place us in firm, steady, loving devotion to Krishna. Okay, I will stop here and I'll tell you a very quick story of a wonderful, wonderful pastime of Srimad Bhagavatam, delivering even a ghost. Huh? There was a ghost named Dundukari. Now, how he became a ghost is a very interesting story. He was a very sinful, wicked, vicious, cruel son of a very saintly Brahmana called Atmadev. Now, Atmadev had no children, so he had prayed and prayed and prayed for a son. And then a sage told him, why are you wasting time fighting your destiny? You're not destined to have a good son. Don't waste your time. But then he wouldn't listen. He was saying, no, give me a son, give me a son. So finally, the sage gave him a fruit, saying, okay, give this to your wife. She will become pregnant, and then you will have a very saintly son. Now, his wife, Dunduli, she was a very wicked woman herself. She didn't want to take the trouble of getting pregnant and, having a childbirth, undergoing childbirth. So she quietly gave it to the family cow to eat. And she persuaded her own sister, who was 6 months pregnant or so, to part with her baby, saying, you give me your baby, I will bring it up as my son, and you can come and nurse the baby later on. We'll just pretend you had some miscarriage or something, but then you give your child to me and I'll reward you with a lot of money. So, unbeknownst to poor Atmadev, this actually took place, and the cow ate that fruit and gave birth to what? A human baby, who was actually a very saintly child, was a divine child, almost divine child, because he was so saintly and filled with spiritual knowledge. And he was called Gokarna because his ears were like that of a cow. So astonishing that the cow gave birth to a human child, but this is what happened. Now, Dundukari, the son born to the sister of Dunduli, Atmadev's sister-in-law, was a very, very wicked person, and he indulged in all kinds of crimes to acquire wealth. And finally, he drove his own father out to the forest, and his mother drowned herself because she was so beset with anxiety over her son ill-treating her and so on. And finally, he began living in his home with 5 prostitutes. Now, the 5 prostitutes were not satisfied with all the looting and pillaging he was doing to bring wealth. Though he did all kinds of things to bring them wealth and keep them happy, they were still unhappy. So they thought, he has got so much wealth, what we'll do, we'll kill him and we'll divide up the wealth between ourselves. So at night, they all got together and they strangled him to death. But they couldn't, because he was very strong. So they put some burning wood into his mouth and killed him that way, and finally burnt his body and finished him off. Because he died such a horrendous death, he came back as a ghost. And now He's wandering around, miserable. He cannot do anything. He's caught in that ghostly body and cannot do anything. Meanwhile, his saintly brother Gokarna has gone on pilgrimage to all the holy places, and he comes back to his village. And when he comes into his own home, Dundukari, he cannot, because he is in a ghost body, he cannot speak. So he presents all kinds of fearful forms in the form of visions to Gokarna. And Gokarna understands finally that there's some ghost. So he asks, who are you? Still the ghost cannot speak. So Dundukari takes some sacred water and throws it on the ghost. And finally, Dundukari starts speaking. First, he starts howling and crying loudly. He says, I'm your brother, Dundukari. I'm in this ghost body. Please save me. Please help me. Do something. So Gokarna is astonished. What happened to you, my brother? Saying, I died a very horrible death. What can I say? These prostitutes tried to kill me. I led a very sinful life. And now I'm paying the price. But please, please, please release me from this ghostly body. So Gokarna starts thinking, what should I do? What should I do? He says, okay, let me start praying. And he starts praying and praying. And then he says, I'll pray to Surya Narayan, sun god, and ask him. So Surya Narayan comes and says, if Dundukari listens continuously to Srimad Bhagavatam, he will be freed of his ghostly body. So you arrange a Bhagavad Saptaha for your brother. So Gokarna duly arranges to read Srimad Bhagavatam continuously for 7 days, organizing a big Pandal program, as we say. And people from all the nearby villages, old, invalid, handicapped, young, middle-aged, children, pregnant women, everybody came because it was such a great thing that a saintly person like Gokarna was going to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. So they all came and they were listening. Now this ghost, he had, a subtle body, an airy body. He couldn't stay outside. He had to come inside, but where else to sit? So he entered into a bamboo rod which had 7 knots. And he entered and he started listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam as Gokarna was reciting very sweetly. He started listening, and because he knew this was the only way out of his ghostly body, he was listening with completely rapt attention, completely absorbed. So all through the day as Gokarna was reciting, he was just listening, deeply absorbed in the recitation. And by evening of the first day, 1 knot of that bamboo burst. Again, the next day, Gokarna resumed, and the 2nd knot burst. So Dundukari, not only was he listening very intently during the day, but whole night he was meditating on what he had heard. He had nothing else to do. And he wanted to get free of the ghostly body. So he gave it all he got, as we say. He listened very raptly, and then whole night he was meditating. Then next day again, he was listening very raptly. And Gokarna, like this, day after day after day, he finished the recitation of Bhagavatam, and every day 1 more knot of that bamboo would burst. Finally, on the 7th day, a shining form, a celestial form emerged from that bamboo, paid obeisances, and a celestial airplane came to take him back to the spiritual world. That's how powerful his hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam was. And Gokarna was astonished. He says, oh, my brother, you are free. You're going back to the spiritual world. He said, yes, your recitation was so sweet and I was listening. I got completely purified. I'm ready to go. So Gokarna asked, but what about all these people who have gathered here? Why aren't they going back to the spiritual world? Said they were not listening with full attention like Dundukari was. So Dundukari goes back. So you organize again 1 more event. So this time, after a month, when Gokarna again organized a Bhagavad Saptaha, everyone listened very intently, and Krishna came with a whole horde of devotees and a whole bunch of airplanes to take all of them back home, back to Godhead. So you see how powerful is the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, and how one must listen very, very intently to get the full benefit of Srimad Bhagavatam. One must listen with rapt attention. And how is this rapt attention obtained? By becoming pure in thought, word, and deed. 1.3.44, Srimad Bhagavatam describes. Let me see if I can pull that up for you. 1, 344 describes how Srimad Bhagavatam should be heard with rapt attention. Okay, let's go to this one and we will see over here. Oh, learned Brahmanas, when Shukadev Goswami recited the Srimad Bhagavatam in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention. And thus, by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. Who is speaking here? Sutta Goswami is speaking to Shaunak Rishi. But what I want to focus on is this. Simple hearing is not all. One must realize the text with proper attention. The word Nivishta means that Sutta Goswami drank the juice of Bhagavatam through his ears. That is the real process of receiving Bhagavatam. One should hear with rapt attention from the real person, and then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. The secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. No one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, hearing, and mating. But somehow or the other, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person at the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Krishna in person in the pages of Bhagavatam. Haribo! So this is the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. And by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam with rapt attention, Sri Maharaj Parikshit attained the perfection of Shravanam, attained the perfection of life and became completely situated in fearlessness. So when the snake bird came to bite him, he just accepted it and left his body without any fear. Huh? How many of us would like to be like that? Raise your hands. So thank you all for listening so patiently. You can now open up your cameras. And thank you, Janava. Me too. And we can all put on our video cameras so we can see each other. And we can open up for discussion, comments, questions, realizations, corrections, criticisms, whatever you like. Haribo, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Namrata ji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. All glories to the wonderful service you are doing and to the Vaishnavas.
Please accept my
Mataji,
obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. All glories to the Vaishnavas.
Mataji, you just spoke this story of Dundukari and Gokarna. This is from Bhagavatam. Which canto is that? You're on mute, Mataji.
I'll share the link with you. Story from Srimad Bhagavatam. I just got it off the internet, but you can read it. Krishna, where can you read it? I will have to check exactly where it is. But the story of Dundukari is over here. It's just entitled A Story from Srimad Bhagavatam, but I have to look up which exactly it is, but it is there. Let me see. Story from Srimad Bhagavatam, story of Dundukari. Let's see in which canto it comes. Story of Gokarna and liberation of Dundukari. Glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm not getting which canto it is right now. I'll have to research and find out.
Okay. I'll also try to find, because the story you told, before few years I read in some other Bhagavatam, not this, that Bhagavatam was not by Prabhupada. But then recently I couldn't find that story, but I read there was a summary of the Bhagavatam before few years.
Sanat Kumar began to narrate the story of Atmadev to Narad Muni. Now we shall see further. So maybe it's in Padma Puran, and it is being quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam, because I'm seeing it on Mahavishnu Maharaj's website. I will have to do a little research to look at where exactly it is.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
No, I'm not seeing it offhand. I'm looking. No, I'm not getting it. I'll have to just search a little bit more to see where it is. But I just shared the link from where I read the whole story just now to relate to you.
Yes, Mataji, no problem. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So Janava, thank you, Namrata, for the question. Now Janava is asking, I would like to ask, what is the proper behavior in which to perform devotional service? Should I feel my bodily identification or only think about Krishna? Why should you even think of your body identification? While you're doing service, you're supposed to only think of Krishna. Where's the question of bodily identification? And not just think of Krishna, but offer your love to him in the form of loving devotional service. And for you, you should be writing books. You should be writing articles. You should be writing, I don't know, presentations, because you are a very intellectually inclined devotee and you like philosophy, you like to read, and you like to present the knowledge. You're very smart. You're a very, very intelligent lady. So I'm looking forward to the book that you're going to write. Of course, we should not think of our body. Why we should think of our body? We are not these bodies. We are spirit souls. We have to take care of the body, and we have to understand what are the limitations of our body. If I think, oh, I can lift a 20-pound weight like the man who's picking up big, big, heavy boxes, I can also do that devotional service, finished. I'll have a prolapsed disc, and for the next 3 weeks, I'll be on the bed, because I wouldn't have understood that I don't have that capacity to lift big, big weights like a man who's strong enough to do that. So each of us has to see what can be done and what cannot be done by me, and then engage accordingly, according to our propensities. So if you're asking whether we should engage according to our propensities, according to our capacities, yes. But once you decide that this is your devotional service, then you get absorbed in Krishna. You get absorbed in trying to please him. You get absorbed in trying to present or do that seva in a mood of loving service to Krishna. Yad karoshi, yad juhoshi, yad karoshi, yad juhoshi, yad. Now, what is that? Yad karoshi, yad akshnashi, yad juhoshi, dadasi, yad tapasyasi, konteya, tat kurishva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you offer, whatever you eat, and whatever you give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering unto me. So whatever you do, that's what Krishna is saying. So whatever you do, you may just polish one nice little pot for Krishna. You may be cooking for Krishna. You may be painting for Krishna. You may be writing for Krishna. Whatever you do that as a loving offering to him. That's how you do it. Is that all right, Janava? Okay. Where are you now, Janava? Are you still in Slovenia or you went back to Italy? Okay, Janavi is not answering. I would like to go to Slovenia. Okay. So you're in Italy right now? Okay. Elenia, who's also coming on these calls, she's also in Italy, I believe. So if you like, you can, catch up with her. Elenia. Her name is Elenia. I will see if I can talk to her, find her number, and if she's, and if she's agreeable, you can exchange numbers and talk to each other, encourage each other like that. Since you're both in Italy. Any other questions, comments, realizations, clarifications, realizations? Revati, Haribol.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yeah, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Revati. My humble obeisances to you. All glories to Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev.
Please accept my humble obeisances to Mataji. Thank you so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for this very wonderful class. Just to further clarify, understand, you said like speaking from mental speculation, right? So a lot of times, like even though we read, we try to speculate. So how to draw a line, like, how to know exactly, like when we are reading, like, okay, we are speculating and we are not speculating.
One should not speculate. One should read with an attempt to understand what is being conveyed. And if one doesn't understand, one should read again. When Srila Prabhupada said, oh, Srila Prabhupada was asked, no, I don't understand. This is very... So Prabhupada said, read it again. I'm saying, but I still don't, but read it again. So by reading and rereading, sometimes what is not clear at the first shot slowly becomes clear by reading and rereading. So we should never mentally speculate or come up with some, wrong conclusions. Why should we mentally speculate at all? We are not encouraged to speculate. We are encouraged to understand. Okay. So once you have understood it, then you can go on. If you haven't understood, then just try to read it again and again so that it becomes clear in your mind. If you still didn't understand, then you can mark it or make a little note and then you can check in with some other devotees. What is your understanding of this? Can you please explain to me? I didn't get clarity on this point, like that. But no mental speculation.
Okay.
That's dangerous.
Yes, Mataji, yeah. So when we read, actually, so we sometimes like we try to like, okay, the experiences we have, like, in our life. So we try to understand in that way. Is that also mental speculation?
What do you mean you experience it in your life?
Like things like, if we read anything, we experience same thing in our life. So we try to relate to things like that, and we try to understand that way. Is that also mental speculation?
Can you give me an example? Just 1 second. I'm here, I'm listening. The mosquitoes will come in, so I just put the screen windows shut.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say, Mataji, let's say like anything we read, like we understand there is a moral, right? Every purport we learn something. And we also experience like a situation, like any qualities we are trying to deal, like, if you understand the qualities like, being envious and jealousy. So we try to relate that to our experience and we try to understand in that way. So I cannot really give you an example, practical example. I cannot really think. So is that also mental speculation? Like,
No, we try to understand what that particular, say you read something in Srimad Bhagavatam about one person who was envious and what happened to them and how they suffered, or what were the reactions for that particular action. And then we realize, oh my gosh, this is very debilitating. If I also indulge in these practices, if I am sinful, if I am, indulging in Vaishnava Prad, then there will be a heavy reaction for me also. Like Gopal Chappal's nose fell off, He tried to malign Haridas Thakur. He put all kinds of paraphernalia in front of his door, which were very ghastly and, disgusting. Haridas Thakur was, Shivas Thakur was unmoved. He said, yes, now you know what kind of a person I really am. He didn't, take offense or anything. But then the Lord was very angry. But Chaitanya became very angry. And what happened to Chapal Gopal? He developed leprosy. And then he had to go to the outskirts of the village all alone, sit under a tree, and he was miserable. And then finally he had to, really piteously wail for mercy to Lord Chaitanya, who was still very angry. Finally he got the mercy. So by this we understand how terrible is doing something wicked like this to another Vaishnava. What a sinful reaction we will get. So we understand, no, I don't want to do like this. I want to avoid any form of violence to any other creature. What to speak of Vaishnava? Srila Prabhupada said a Vaishnava doesn't give anxiety even to an ant. So we understand in reading Srimad Bhagavatam how gentle, how loving the dealings are between devotees, how to conduct ourselves, what to do, what not to do. So like that, we do get lessons. We do understand from those things. But there is no speculation involved in that either. We learn.
so just learn as it is, not put your ideas.
No, don't put your own mental speculation, because that will mislead you. Just try to understand the lesson in that.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, if no one has any further questions, does anyone have any more questions? Yes, go ahead, Scarlett Mataji.
Hare Krishna, and thank you for today's class. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, yes, that we read something about from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 15:100a. I'm still struggling to understand it.
Yes, it is very confusing. I read that whole link and I saw all that. I don't think I want to attempt to try to unconfuse you, because I'll confuse you even more. These kind of things must be checked with Gurudev. We have to ask Guru Maharaj to give us clarity on all these things, because it is not very easy to understand these topics. They are coming from Hari Bhakti Vilas, and in what context it was written, why it was written like that. Those are the things we need to understand from the pure devotee of the Lord. So these things are best presented to Shri Gurudev, and we better hear from Guru Maharaj the answers.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, if no one has any further questions, we can end the call. I again apologize for the gaps in the class because of the power outage. I am so sorry. I have no control over what happens over here once the thunderstorm comes. So please forgive me for that. And we will see each other tomorrow, Krishna willing. Thank you all so very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very, very much. And it was all understanding. My God, I'm thankful that you are sitting there, that you're doing it. So that, no, there is nothing to say sorry for. Thank you very, very much for today.
Thank you so much, Kal, for tolerating all the, gaps in the class and being so kind as to accept this humble offering. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol. I'll end the call now. Thank you.